Welcome to the Everybody Hates Church podcast. At the intersection of church and culture is all of us. With endless posts, opinions, and information, this podcast is the safe space to decode it all while exploring why everybody hates church. Hello and welcome to Everybody Hates Church. What an exciting episode that we have with us today because we're going to talk about Hollywood and why Hollywood hates church. We got my brother Jimmy Jenkins in the house, and it's going to be a great discussion about how church is depicted in all of your favorite movies and your favorite TV shows. So stick around for that conversation. But before we get to Jimmy, I got my guy, my producer, the social media extraordinaire, the owner of In Club magazine. What else is it? You love this.
Listen,
give the rest of your body. We got Dion Ringold in the house. What's up, man?
Always a pleasure, man. Being on this project is, I brag about it. I talk about it all the time. I think one of the biggest thing I get a joy out of is just working with people that I believe in. So It's just really cool. I think you're a voice that people need to hear, especially in this space. I think I love talking about it. That the reason why we even came to the inception is that there's too many talking heads out here that's just they own some other stuff. They're not,
everybody loves church.
Not everybody loves church, clearly, and
right.
A lot of people are pimping Jesus for their own benefit. So it's really cool to have you talking about these things at the intersection of culture and church. So I think it's a big deal. We got some good stuff to talk about. So it's funny. I just met Mr. Jenkins for the first time. Hilarious, hilarious. But apparently he's doing some great stuff. But you guys got an opportunity when we talk about some movies. So I'm excited about that because I'm a movie guy.
You're a movie guy.
I'm a movie guy.
You are.
So what's the last big movie that you've seen in theaters?
Oh man, so last two, man. Of course, you got to see Creed. I loved Creed.
Yeah. I got some issues with that. But
you got, of course you do. You're such a snob, man. You're such a movie snob. You get on my nerves. I don't even like talking to you about it. I loved Creed. I thought Michael B. Jordan did a great job as a director. Sure. I was impressed with his directing chops. Which I didn't know that he would. I didn't have high expectations of his directing chops, and it was a pleasant surprise. Yeah. And of course, I'm a Marvel fan, so of course Ant-Man, Quantumania was on the list. Had to check that
can
out.
I get my small gripe? So I haven't seen Creed 3, but it's
how you got gripes and you ain't seen it?
I'm about to tell you because I'm being petty. I'm being petty because there's some behind the scenes stuff that I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to go see the movie. However, no. In all honesty, I feel like all boxing movies are the same, so I have no interest in seeing it. Even though I'm a big advocate of seeing movies in the theaters, I'm just a little slower to go see this one because I feel like literally most boxing movies are exactly the same. I know exactly how it's going to happen. I am excited to kind of see his artistic direction, right, and his choices and directing. I hear there's some anime and stuff like that in there, so that's awesome. And then Jonathan Majors is just bigger than life right now.
Jonathan Majors is killing right now. He's
next
everywhere.
level, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of just see what they do with him and hope it's not just the same old. That I kind of feel like it will be. I'm sure it's good. I feel like there's really not a bad Rocky Creed movie, but a lot of them to me are kind of like just, a movie.
I mean, when you think about the story arc, of course, there's going to be, our favorite guy is getting beaten, and then our favorite guy triumphs at the end. So of course, there's going to be a lot of that. Which, side note, which is why, in my opinion, back to the Marvel side, which is why Infinity War was so crazy because we all go to the movies expecting the good guys to win, and it didn't. And that's not how it happened. Yeah. But and so you're right in the sense if that's what you're talking about that in the end good will triumph
one of
over
it,
evil.
but just the beats feel very familiar. The tone feels very familiar. Even the antagonist feels very familiar. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, and again, because of the performance, because of who's in it, I'm sure they're both likable. Sure. It'll be hard not to like it, but I don't think I'm going to walk away like, whoa.
So in that sense, And so, you get real Clubber Lang vibes from, Jonathan Majors' character. But at the same time, what I look for in a boxing movie like Creed is the tension, so much so that has me edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, what's about to happen? And is it shot well, right? And so the first couple of Rocky movies kind of look the same because there's only so much you can do shooting a sports movie, whether that be basketball, football, or whatever. And so I was pleasantly surprised on both of those fronts, where the storyline went extremely well, I thought.
Right.
But then also some of the choices, some of the directorial choices that Michael B. Jordan makes it different from any boxing movie that you've seen.
Got it.
And there's some. I'm not gonna give it away because y'all gotta go see it, and I know you're gonna go see it.
Yeah.
But when you see it, you'll say, that's what he was talking about.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So Jonathan Majors, one of the only. I think there's maybe a handful of actors who had back-to-back different movies #1 at the box office, right? It's wild. So Ant-Man obviously was #1 at the box office for a few weeks, then Creed was #1 at the box office. We both seen Ant-Man. We talked a little bit offline about it. I have many gripes with it, but just so overall, like what was when you left the theater, what was your right out of theater reaction?
So first of all, let's just acknowledge this is such a nerd conversation.
Oh yeah, big
right?
time. Yeah.
But so my thing is, again, I'm always about the story. Sure. As a preacher, you know, is the story arc and the tension and then the resolution and who the main characters are. Sure. And did we tell a great story about these main characters? Yeah. For me, because as a Marvel nerd, and I'm probably not a Marvel nerd on the level that you are. I'm certainly not.
Okay, most people are not. It's okay.
Because I never read the comics.
Right.
I'm for a lot of these characters, I'm being introduced to them in the movies and in the MCU. I know who Kang the Conqueror is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I was just disappointed at how they told the story of Kang the Conqueror. I did not leave for most of the movie, and then leaving the movie, I did not leave like, oh goodness, I'm scared of that guy. In ways that they've done extremely well with other characters. Sure. Thanos, for example, Killmonger as well, where you leave the theater like, oh man, that guy right there. Yep. And I know that's what they were. I felt like this movie had one job.
That's it.
The only job was to set up Kang the Conqueror, and I thought that they fell short of that.
Yeah. So not to go full geek mode in it, I'm going to try to keep it short because you know my long version.
Yes,
however, it was.
Please don't bore our listeners.
Right. I know they already checked out. Like, wait, what? So,
we supposed to talk about
back.
church.
We come back. I should put in there like start at this point if you want to go over the geek stuff, right? But no, so. Obviously, they had one job, especially because they set it up in the trailers. You know, it's this dynasty. The dynasty is starting. You know, it's going to be this epic. You know, and I think part of my problem is I should have went into it like this is an Ant-Man movie. Though there's nothing wrong with the other Ant-Man movies. They're fine. But I went into this like, oh, no, this is setting up the next phase kind of movie, right? Sure. Two different expectations. Right. If I went into it like, oh, it's just Ant-Man 3, a little bit different. However, the biggest thing, and maybe not spoil it for people who live under a rock that still haven't seen the movie, the way that he's defeated is what really bothers me. Oh, yeah. There's no way
he's
too
big for that. And, you know.
And I know the biggest threat is really the variance of him, and that's kind of what they're really trying to set up. But still, that version shouldn't have went out like that. So I have some issues with that.
Well, the lesson of it all is bringing it back to Everybody Hates Church. The lesson of it all is your disappointment is always affected by your expectations. Yeah. And whether you're in life or in movies, wherever your expectations are. If anything that falls short of that is going to be a disappointment. Yeah, so
I have another one for you about expectations. So the Super Bowl had I thought a lot of good ads. I enjoyed most of the ads. I think the triangle one was probably my favorite one. It's just hilarious. But so there was a Jesus ad of all places.
There were two Jesus ads actually. Yeah,
two Jesus ads at the Super Bowl of all places. And it's a great place to be. It's the most watched thing next to the World Cup. So Super Bowl is a big deal. We know that, right? But we also know it's really expensive. So I was thinking like, wait, who
spent money
on
who spent money on
Super Bowl ads? Exactly for Jesus, right? So you've seen the ads, and we talk a little bit about how Christianity is portrayed. And so I'm just going to pull it up because their big thing was he gets us, right? He gets us, yeah. So when you seen that, what was your initial reactions and kind of being able to mull on it? Like, what do you think about it?
So first of all, I had a leg in on it because not only had I seen many of their commercials before, but I know some of the people who are pushing the whole "He Gets Us" campaign, and so I was able to be kind of a part of the rollout of the whole Super Bowl push. And really, it's an evangelistic organization that has really done their work on the backside as well. And so as you can see, they spent a lot of money in ads making these, I think, very high quality commercials. Yeah. And then what they do though is for people who go to that website and say, I want more information, they have already done the back end work with local churches.
Nice.
And so if somebody goes to hegetsus.com, I think it is, and they put their information in, their back end connects those people with churches in whatever area they're in. So our church is one of those churches that they would connect with if they see the movie, see the commercial, and then they go deeper into it. So I'm super excited. And there are people who have different perspectives of I heard somebody say it's the woke Jesus commercial. Right. Because the way it's depicted, it depicts Jesus as somebody who understands where we come from, and it's not whitewashed, if I could just be honest. And so some people are having problems with it because, again, it ruffles the feathers of our American comfort.
Sure.
About who Jesus actually is, who the biblical Jesus actually is. And actually, I appreciate that because something with that many dollars behind it could really be, pigeonholed into an Americanized version of Jesus. And we all know Jesus wasn't American, first of all. Yeah. And so Jesus doesn't fit within our American ideologies, whether you're on the right or on the left. Jesus doesn't fit your American ideologies. And the Jesus that's portrayed in these ads, in my opinion, don't fit the American ideologies, which I appreciate. Yeah. But then also, again, I appreciate the back end work that they did before they ever did the rollout. Right. They said, you know what, we're going to partner with local churches because anybody who pursues after seeing this,
and they knew they was going to get them.
They knew they was going to get them.
Tons of clicks.
Are these people they're considering seekers? Yeah. And if they're a seeker, the best thing we can do with that person is connect them to the local church, which I sign off on 100% of the time. Because at the end of the day, if you dial in or you go in and it's a hotline. No one's ever been connected to the kingdom of God through a hotline. Yeah. But if the hotline connects you to the local church, which is the value of the local church. Yeah. The local church doesn't have $10 billion to push behind these ads. No one church was ever going to do a Super Bowl ad. Right. We could think of something better to do with $7 million, right? First of all, very few churches have $7 million. Right. And those that do aren't going to spend it on a Super Bowl ad. Yeah. Very few. I can think of maybe one that did something like that.
But you wouldn't want them to do it.
You wouldn't want them to. You wouldn't want them to. Yeah. But for the people who did this, and the machine behind it is an organization called Glue. Okay. And they value the local church and are pushing people to the local church, which to me is a huge win.
Yeah, I love that. One more thing just about that. Do you feel like the woke term, now that, white nationalists are trying to weaponize it, do you think that affects the impact that the Super Bowl ad could have?
Well, the term woke was co-opted by the left and then weaponized by the right, and now it doesn't have. I think anybody who ever uses first of all, if you've ever used the word woke or ever thought about using the word woke, don't use it until you read Eric Mason's book, Woke Church. 100%. Because you need to know the genesis of the word woke, not the way people use it now. Yep. The word woke was being used for years in the black community, unsullied, before it ever made it to mainstream. And the original intent of the word is to be conscious, to be aware of what's going on around us as people of color. Then it became something completely different, to the point where recently in the news, somebody who was tossing the word out just got challenged politely by like, could you define the word woke? And then they needed a Control-Alt-Delete.
Hilarious. It was like it started skipping like later. Are you a robot? Like, are you on?
Right. And so many people unfortunately use the word woke without knowing what it means, and they've weaponized it to mean something that it doesn't. Exactly. And so I'm dismissive of anybody who uses the word woke as a pejorative, because that just tells me off break you don't know what the word even means. And if you want to educate yourself, there are so many resources that will help you do that. Again, including Dr. Eric Mason's book.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it did the most. I think that book did the most thorough job of being able to see that through a biblical lens as well, right? Because I was introduced to it through, like 5%ers and just the conscious movement, period, right? They were using the term for exactly what you just said. So yeah, for people like that, Jesus hates your tweets. So I want to get into my favorite segment,
Let's go.
which is Jesus hates your tweets.
Let's do it.
Jesus hates your tweets. I'm going to give you a cliche or a phrase that is used often by people, and you're going to tell me if it sounds good or if it's a sound word. Okay. All right, ready for this one?
Let's go.
This one, yeah, I'm interested too because I want to see where you fall. God works in mysterious ways. See, I gotta get hard ones for you. The last one was too easy for you.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. Yeah. Sound word.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Break that down, Doctor.
So Joshua 3, God is preparing his people to go into the promised land, and they've arrived at the Jordan. And so he sends Joshua amongst the camp with a word. He says, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do great wonders among you. Is this idea that, okay, prepare yourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, primarily though, to expect God to do something crazy, right? And he's going to do something that you've never seen before. And then here's the instruction he gives. He says, when you see the Ark of the Covenant go out, you stand 1,000 feet back, 10 football fields back. He says, because you've never been this way before. This is showing me a God who is not bound to what he did the last time.
Wow. Yeah.
It'll look like what he did the last time. There will be similarities to how he did it the last time, because the way they crossed the Jordan is in some ways similar to the ways that their parents crossed the Red Sea. But it's going to be so different. And it's going to be wonders, and it's going to be mysterious, right? It's this idea that God doesn't have to explain himself to you. That God doesn't have to check in with me and get my clearance to do whatever God wants to do. And if God does something crazy, that's probably God.
Yeah.
If you think it was God, but he did it in a way that you can wrap your mind around, if he did it in a way that you can explain, if he could do it in a way in which you could take the credit for, it might not have been God.
Wow. Yeah.
But if he does it in a way that's different, if he does it in a way that is in line with his character, but not bound to the box that you've created, you know what? That might be him. And so, yeah, I believe the Lord works in mysterious ways as it pertains to the fact that God is unexplainable, not bound to your preconceived notions of what he does and how he does it, right? And most of the time, our expectations of God is not built upon our experience with God. Yep. It's built upon our expectations of ourselves or what we've been exposed to in other spaces. Wow. So the people of Israel, while Moses is on the mountain hearing from God, the people of Israel are in the valley dancing around a golden calf. Why a golden calf? Because the calf was a deity in Egypt. Their expectation of God was what they saw in Egypt. Yeah. When God is on a mountain doing something he ain't never done.
Right. Wow.
And so the way that God is speaking to Moses is mysterious. The way they're expecting God to move dancing around a golden calf is familiar. Yeah. And most of the time, the familiar isn't the way God works. Matter of fact, he often works in the unfamiliar. Right. And so he says, consecrate yourselves. Tomorrow you're going to see wonders. As a matter of fact, stand back so you don't get out ahead of me. Because I'm taking you a place that you've never been before, because that's how I work.
I apologize to everybody that I criticized about that. I'm done.
Most of this stuff it depends on the context in which you use it. Because most of the stuff we use just as an excuse to do what we want to do, right? And so Jesus hates it if you're using it as an excuse to wild out.
Right,
but on its face, I would say it's a sound word.
All right, cool. I like it. All right, you got a guest coming up.
Man, we got a guest coming in.
Yeah.
Hey, in just a minute, we're going to talk to Jimmy Jenkins. We're talking about movies. We're talking about TV. We're really talking about the fact that Hollywood hates church. Yeah. Let's talk about it with somebody who's on the inside of it and can give us a great perspective. We're going to be right back with Jimmy Jenkins. Check this out. Hey everybody, I'm here at Life and Legacy Counselors with my estate attorney, Miss Amy Griffin. Amy, could you tell us why it's so important for us to think generationally about our wealth?
Yes, it's about strategically planning. As the word says, that we are supposed to plan for our children's children. Mm-hmm. So as we are able to build, we're able to create greatness and opportunity for our children, our community to grow.
Amy is my estate attorney. She has helped me and my family think generationally about not just how much money we make now, but how we make sure that we protect our money and pass our money on to generations. Amy, how can we get in contact with you?
Easily go to our website at yourestateplanningattorney.com or call us at 855-574-8481.
Thank you so much for being a part of the Everybody Hates Church podcast family, and you reach out to Amy today. We are back on Everybody Hates Church, and I am blessed to be here with my bro. I've known this young man since we both was kids. And I'm so proud and so excited to have him with us on Everybody Hates Church because God has done so many amazing things through him and really ignited his creativity and his vision. And Jimmy Jenkins, you taking Hollywood by storm, man. And so I couldn't think of anybody better to have this conversation on Everybody Hates Church. This episode, Hollywood Hates Church, which I truly believe Hollywood hates church. But I wanted to have it with somebody who is on the inside of it and has seen every level and every aspect of it. Jimmy Jenkins, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Man, bro. Just thank you for allowing me to be here, man. This whole concept is amazing. And I think that it's going to be able to gravitate and bring in so many people who struggled with church, the essence of church. And so I'm really excited about what you're doing, man. I can't wait. I'm going to watch all the episodes.
Yes, sir.
I'm tapped in, bro.
Man. We are tapped in, man, because you are doing so many things. You are a playwright. You are a producer. You are a director. Man, behind the camera, behind the scenes. Funny thing, just growing up, we thought that you was going to be in front of a camera somewhere.
That's what we thought, right?
And man, look at what God's doing with you behind the camera. If you don't know his work, you should. A couple of amazing plays. Poor Man, Rich Soul is just crazy, awesome that you are actually about to produce for streaming. For streaming services right now. Black Boy Blues is another play that you have produced. And two incredible movies. One's a documentary called In the Water. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, so we both are from Prince George's County, Maryland, Wakanda, you know what I'm saying? For real. Prince George's County, if you don't know, for a very long time was the highest concentration of middle to upper class black people in the country and the home of so many incredible basketball players. We really could put a DMV squad up against anybody anywhere.
You can put one in NBA.
Oh, come on, man. And
they'll be pretty good.
They'll be pretty doggone good. With Kevin Durant.
Out front for sure.
And you co-produced that with
with Kevin Durant. Correct. So Kevin Durant was the real boss.
Right.
I was the help.
Yes, sir. So if you haven't seen In the Water, it is streaming on Showtime, right?
Yes.
Streaming on Showtime, and so get yourself an education on.
Did they know you were quite the basketball star growing up?
You know, I was okay.
Don't do that, man. You was with Walt Webb at Riverdale Baptist.
Okay.
Bring the footage out. You was pretty good.
I got some footage.
You're pretty good.
I got
man.
my jersey hanging up in my office.
Okay.
But you know how it is. The older you get, the better you work.
I'll
tell stories about how I used to kill. Don't ask nobody else. Okay.
I vouch. He was pretty good at basketball. He was pretty good.
And then, man, one of my favorites, and I'll never forget being there for the release of this movie for the red carpet event for Sinners Wanted.
Oh yes, man.
And man, you and your brother Josh did Sinners Wanted, and it was incredible. And what I appreciated most about Sinners Wanted was you, and unlike most Hollywood depictions of church, and unlike most Hollywood depictions of pastors, you depicted a pastor who actually had some sense. And when I say had some sense, you depicted a pastor who loved people, who loved ministry, and really it's a I'll let you tell it because I really want to dig into it, but it's a retelling of the prophet Hosea.
Yes, correct.
Tell us about Sinners Wanted.
You know, the biggest thing, and I love the point you made about the way we created the pastor. Church, especially in films and movies, church has been portrayed, especially pastors, as always scandalistic, always issues, or always sneaky, or always, and mind you, the Bible talks about like the church of the future in Revelation.
Sure.
And it talks about majority of the churches, that I think it's 7 churches.
Yeah.
He said majority of those 7 are going to be bad churches.
Right.
And so that's just...
It was 5 of the 7.
It was
He's
5
like,
of the 7.
I got issues with y'all.
With y'all. You guys weren't good, but there were 2
right.
that were right. And I think that's just a foretelling for the time we're in right now. Every church ain't going to be good. In fact, majority of the churches you go to, they probably don't got the right people at the head. They probably don't have the right mission. But it's your job to do your due diligence and find the good churches and stop letting bad people keep you away from a good God.
Ooh, that's so good.
That's what I think. People get so, we're human, man.
Yeah.
And you get so upset at people that you let people confuse you with a good God.
Man.
And I think that if people really understood that Jesus told us, that the word told us, a lot of these churches are going to be bad, you wouldn't be so offended when you get treated wrong.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah. What was the response to Sinners Wanted? I know what my response was, but I want you to just tell us how people gravitated to it, man, from your perspective.
Black people gravitated to it differently than the rest of the world.
Okay.
Hollywood didn't per se take to it as much because I made the film for $100,000. Denzel Washington gets paid millions just for his role. I made my whole movie for $100,000, which people don't really do. It's very rare that you try to do that with that many different locations. So the key about it was what I learned about life is that men can lie, women can lie, but numbers can't lie to you. They can't lie. And despite the fact that I made it for $100,000.
This is Everybody Hates Church. We quote Jay-Z here, though. Go
ahead. Yeah. We quote Jay-Z, but Jay-Z got that from somebody else, too. He ain't come up with that. But the key that I've learned is that the numbers are going to tell you the impact. It really is. And it's no matter what it is, it's the numbers are going to tell you. And we sold out for 6 straight weeks at our theater. We got picked up by TV One. We got on BET Plus. And despite we only had $100,000, I think lives were touched and I think people were able to be impacted.
Absolutely.
And my whole goal, even with my film career now, is to take Bible stories and make them relevant to today.
100%.
And that's where this whole script came from, Hosea 3:1, where God told him to go love this dirty, nasty prostitute. And that's where the film came from, bro.
I love it. And so if you haven't seen Sinners Wanted, it is on BET Plus. You can check it out.
Go watch it on Tubi, because if you watch it on Tubi, I get paid by the ads.
So don't go watch it on BET Plus. Watch it on Tubi.
Watch it on Tubi, please. Yes.
Lamont Rucker in it.
Clifton Powell. The late Tracy Braxton. Rest in peace. She was just a beautiful person to work with.
Awesome.
Tasha Cobbs-Leonard. Anthony Brown.
Yep.
Pastor John Jenkins.
Come on in here.
Yeah.
Shout out to First Baptist of Glenard. So, man, great movie. And again, thank you for how you depicted the church and just kind of going against the grain right there. But let's talk about it before we dig in to some of the because I want to get your first response on some popular movies and shows. Man, I want to ask you, what's your favorite church scene? Your favorite church scene from a movie at any time? And before you tell me yours, I'm gonna tell you mine.
Okay.
All right. Medea's Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Shout out to Kimberly Elise and all of them, Shamar Moore.
Yes.
But the scene at the end of the movie where the wife beating husband come and get saved. Right? Oh, come on, man.
I need
Tamala Mann singing, boy, already. Yeah. But then the Tyler Perry's character's wife, who had gone through so many trials throughout the movie, she come in the back of the come on, and she starts singing, and she come to Jesus. Bruh, I might have had a thug tear.
No, that was one of Tyler's best movies, man. Yeah. I love that film so much. It just takes me back to so much of my childhood. And it was just a great movie, man. But for me, like, I love First Sunday.
Of course. Tracy Morgan, Ice Cube,
Cat Williams.
Come on.
It's a plethora of church scenes in that that are just hilarious. Right. The whole film takes place in the church for the most part. And it's just so, I just want you to watch it. From the services to when they take the offering, it's probably like my favorite church scene.
When Tracy Morgan comes in his communion Sunday, and so he grabs as many the communion wafers, and he eats.
He like that.
And he's like, y'all got cheese?
That's a funny one. That's a funny church movie. You need to go watch it. I love that movie. That's a funny one.
Hilarious. All right. Quick responses.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Greenleaf.
I watched a couple episodes.
Why didn't it appeal to you?
It's hard for TV to get to. I'm not in no TV shows, to be honest. Yeah. And if I watch a season maybe, but it's not one TV show where I have to watch, where like, Tuesday night. I'm more of a movie guy.
Gotcha.
I like to sit down and see, how did you tell this whole story in 2.5 hours?
That's good.
So TV shows, and then also my attention span is so short. Like, I ain't about to sit there and watch 12 hours or 12 episodes. It's just, I've never been a TV guy. And so like now it's just all movies. And so it's nothing against Greenleaf.
Sure.
It's just that I'm not much of a television. I think if I get into more television, making more television, I think I will watch more TV. But everything I've made has been documentaries, feature-length films, and stage plays.
Because you've had to discipline yourself to tell the whole story in a short amount of time.
Yeah. So if I got to go do it in 10 episodes, I got to go back and study. Like, it's really like a craft to like understand the difference between TV and film, man.
And story arcs and
story arcs, man. It's a whole. I got to go get a whole nother set of training to be able to do a 10-episode thing. And so I'm trying to do the movie thing really, really well first, and I haven't done that yet. You know what I mean? So I still have a while to have some things to do to get really good at that. But one day I will want to do it.
I love it, man. My thing with Greenleaf, if you ever watch it, and I'm sure many of you have, one of the things about Greenleaf for me is, because we both grew up in mega church environments, right? And so I know mega church. Watching Greenleaf was, okay, these show creators tried to find every possible dramatic experience that could possibly happen in a whole mega church, and then they put it in one family.
It made it go crazy.
and it was crazy, and it was unrealistic in my opinion. It was, okay, a family might have one of these issues. This family had all of the issues, and I'm like, okay, is this for me? And again, I'm addicted to the comment section. And probably one of the reasons for the podcast is I'm addicted to the comment section. And one of my big issues, Jimmy, is when I see stuff, I go straight to the comments. And when I go to the comments, it makes me cringe and it hurts my heart when I see people saying, "Oh yeah, that's why I don't go to church. I don't go to church because all the pastors is like Bishop Greenleaf. Or all the pastors is like the pastor down the street." First of all, the pastor down the street's name was Basie Skanks. It's like, bruh. Of course. Dude's name is Basie Skanks, right? You told us by telling us his name what kind of dude, what kind of character he was, right? And so for me, it was, and why it hurts me in the way Hollywood depicts church, because the question is art imitating life or is life imitating art? And people see that stuff and say, yeah, that's what happens. It's like, nah, not really. Not exactly. Now, having said that, I watched the whole thing, and it was entertaining to me. But again, I think it told a story that largely was unrealistic, if not inaccurate. And so, but that's
I mean, just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, like a lot of times, when people say things like that, I think it comes, especially in the comments, this is why I don't go to church. Or things. Those are things that come from like babes in Christ who may be immature or really haven't experienced the true nature of Christ. And it's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes church scars you. I've been scarred at church and I'm the pastor's son. And so it does happen, but I think with growth, you're able to look at things and not take them so literal. You have to make television like that. You want to make... I got a bad church show that I probably shouldn't mention, but I'm going to mention it.
Go ahead.
Bro, it is, y'all, I shouldn't think this show is good, funny. This is one show I've watched. I haven't watched all the seasons, but I watched like 2.
What's that?
You ever seen Righteous Gemstones?
I haven't. Is that the one with John
It
Goodman?
is bad, bro.
Oh, man.
Listen, it's bad.
I need to check it out.
Yes, you do. No, you have to just watch it. I actually want you to try to watch it.
Okay.
If you can start from the
Start from the beginning.
It's bad though, bro. It's like bad. It's bad. But you guys should just watch Righteous Gemstones. Don't take nothing from it. But I actually think it's a little funny. But they take it too far, though.
Course.
They take it too far.
Of course.
But yeah, that's what these films do. Church stories do.
But do we watch it if it's not provocative? No. We probably wouldn't watch
You're
it.
not
You're
gonna
not
get
going to
no views. You ain't gonna get people ain't going like if you aren't like going to the raunchiest of the ratchet, like the top shows on TV.
Yeah.
Are highly sexualized.
Of course.
Are highly. It's a lot of crime, drugs, murder, and these people that are making these shows, their forefront ain't how can I help change their heart? It's how can I get their eyeballs to stay on the TV?
Sure.
As long as that's how they get paid.
Sure.
And so, at the same time, I've learned that I don't want to make content just for eyeballs.
Right.
Although I do want the eyeballs.
You want the eyeballs,
but
yeah.
I also want to be able to get to the heart.
That's good.
And I think that's what's important.
Let me throw another one out. Even though you said you don't watch TV shows, I want to throw this one out real quickly. Preachers of LA.
I haven't seen anything of that.
Oh man, don't watch it.
So
well,
is it
find it.
Is it a live? It's like a.
So it's in the mold of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So it's a reality television.
Reality. I don't watch no reality TV.
And so what it did. So actually, one of the executive producers was Dietrich Haddon.
Oh wow.
And it chronicles he and other preachers in Los Angeles, Bishop Ron Gibson, Wayne Chaney, of course Dietrich, Bishop Clarence McClendon, Bishop Noel Jones.
Oh, wow.
And it followed their lives around. And again, for me, the purpose, Dietrich Haddon said, the purpose was to be able to see that these men are human. And it reached its goal.
It don't come on no more?
No, it doesn't. It certainly doesn't. They tried to do it again in like Detroit and again in Atlanta, and it just didn't. It didn't.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. I never watched it.
Again, it turned out to be again the most provocative. And so they chronicled some of the guys that had a lot of money and flaunted their money or whatever the case may be, or would fight with each other, really in ways that showed clear lacks of discernment.
Yeah.
And so you said you don't watch shows, so let's go to a movie.
Okay.
Honk for Jesus.
I seen the trailer.
So you make movies, you don't watch movies.
No, I try. It has to really like speak to me for me to want to sit down.
Right.
I've been through the stage of where I'm watching a movie a day. I need to and I still try to. I don't do it as much now because when I'm up, I'm working on something.
Yeah.
I got a lot more companies now.
Sure.
But I know they shot it at my guy. They shot it at the same church they shot Greenleaf.
Yep.
Honk for Jesus.
They shot it.
That's E. Dewey Smith Church.
Yeah. Shout out to House of Hope.
Yep. That's my guy. But I did see the trailer. I thought it was good. I thought the trailer seemed good, but I never got to watch the movie.
Yeah. Again,
it's some young girls, some young black girls who made it. So I always love seeing black directors do their thing.
And do great work. And again, caricature. It's a caricature, and so it's again what you would expect. It's a pastor who's riddled in scandal, pastor's wife who's sticking by his side, but then there's also flaunting their their wealth and things like that. And again. The thing about a caricature, if you've ever gone to an amusement park and somebody sits and draws you, right? It's a caricature. It looks like you, but they accentuate certain aspects of what you look like. Your head is actually much bigger than your head actually is. Or if you have a dominant trait, the job of the person who draws a caricature is to accentuate it, to make it larger than life. And it looks like you, but it doesn't. And I feel like what happens in Hollywood is we get caricatures of the church. It looks like it, but it doesn't.
Right.
It looks like it in a sense, like it's recognizable. I have a picture in my house of a caricature drawing of myself and my wife, La. And you look at it, it's like, when you look at it, you're like, okay, yes, I can tell that's Bobby, and yes, I can tell that's La. But it doesn't look like us.
Right.
What happens, though, when you draw a caricature of the church in Hollywood, and I want you to speak to this, is people look at it and say, yep, that's it.
Very true.
When in reality, that's not it.
It's not it. It's not it
It's
at all.
enough of it to be recognizable, but it's not enough of it to be accurate. Talk to me about that and the job of the movie maker to create caricatures, because caricatures are interesting.
Yeah, so one thing I've learned about Hollywood, one thing I've learned about this industry is there is a certain realm of acceptance of what we want this to look like. And I asked God, when he brought me into this industry, is to use me in a way that I can not be along the stereotypes, right? And so there's all type of systems. And when somebody else is paying for your movie and they've been producing movies for XYZ and they saying, well, I'm putting the money into this is how I want it to be. I think it is, once Hollywood finds something that they like, they keep doing it. And they like, this is what works. And anything against that won't work. And then you have the films of every now and then that kind of come out and make a difference. But, every majority of the Christian films I saw growing up, I would say probably 90% of them, 95% of them were extremely corny.
Corny, absolutely.
Extremely
100%.
corny that I would never watch, even now. Because that too. I think the Christian movies that come out that are trying to be churchy, they're characters too.
Yeah.
It's just, so I think that it has to be realism in it, but it also just got to be it's got to be rooted in truth.
Sure.
And I think that's what the lack that we've dealt with over these years, the creators or the people that have been, there have been a few that have come along and have done it very successfully. And sometimes the best Christian movies are the ones that you don't even know is a Christian movie. There's films out here, like one of my favorite all-time Christian movies that people, I think it's as clear as a Christian movie, but Book of Eli.
The Book of Eli, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
The Green Mile.
Yeah.
Oh my, can change your heart.
Absolutely.
Can change your heart. Shawshank Redemption. It might not be, they might not say Jesus in it, but man, those are the type of movies that, and even, Green Mile was clear. That was a Christian movie.
Right.
I don't care what nobody say. That was a Christian movie. Book of Eli is a Christian movie. Might have some curse words in it, but it's a Christian movie. And I think that
Who came up with the rule that like curse words mean it's not Christian? It's all kinds of curse words in the Bible.
No. First of all, let me tell you something. This is like this is my thing, bro. Because I get so it's something I struggle with, because the Bible is like a scandalous book.
100%.
Bro, it's like the most nastiest, dirtiest, worst things are in this Bible.
Absolutely.
So the moment that we portray it, people had a real like with Sinners Wanted. If you're a pastor or something watching this, I want you to listen. So I'm putting the movie out. Churches, before they saw it, they read the log line. Pastor falls in love with a prostitute. And they immediately said, oh no. We can't do that. We can't know that. How old is this for? And I opened my Bible. I said, "Can you just read this verse for me?" And they will read it. And it is this whole book, this whole Bible is about a prostitute. Us, we are prostitutes. We have been, and this whole story was about a prostitute. And it's like, man, it's even in the Bible. But even those that are the church people can't even see how relevant it is to make something relatable. To, I had to struggle with this play we doing at my church, the Poor Man Rich Soul. It's some curse words in this take place on prison. And my dad was reluctant, but I said, Dad, this is for that man who got out of prison for 25 years.
Right.
This is for them.
Right.
We never do nothing for them at the church. Why can't we do something for the worst of the worst? And he's related, and he said, let's do the play,
And that he seems to be under the impression that nobody at his church says cuss words.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, he know his kids curse. Most of us all curse. So.
No.
No, Natalie.
Sorry, Natalie. I know you didn't think that you were going to come up with this.
Natalie likes the communion tables.
You ain't supposed to say that on camera. We keeping it in. But you ain't supposed to say.
They're talking about what Sarah like.
No, we're not.
Okay.
No, I mean, no, and you're exactly right. Is some stuff that we wouldn't think is Christian, but man, what a message it has. That the message is clearly Christian. And thank you for throwing out those examples of movies that have the message of redemption, right? That have the message of calling, like the Book of Eli, and it's clear for those of us who are looking for it. But then others of us might miss it. Talk to me about what you feel as a movie maker. What is your responsibility? What drives you as somebody who makes movies? So I think you know this. So my most recent book is called Gentegration, Connecting Leaders Across Generations. And you were a subject matter of my understanding of our generation, millennials, where millennials, whereas
wait, I'm in the book?
I didn't name you.
Oh, you should have named me. That would have been
nice. I should have.
Hurt my heart.
Right. But when I think of you as an artist, it's a perfect reflection of the millennial mind, because baby boomers had a clear delineation between sacred and secular, and you don't cross those lines. You either over here, you over there. Baby boomers would be like, you either in the world or you in the church, right? Gen X mastered the crossover, and so Gen X was perfect at crossing over, at giving us Christian versions of what we saw in the world, right? And so we got our crossover artists like BB and CeCe Winans. You got Kirk Franklin, who sampled Parliament Funkadelic, and representing Gen X. The baby boomers are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, right? With millennials don't have that line between sacred and secular, whereas Gen X will make a Christian version of what they saw. So Gen X wants to make Christian hip hop. Gen X gave us Christian hip hop, Christian clubs, the Christian go-go's here in DC. We've mentioned on this podcast before, and Christian movies. With millennials, you taught me this. Millennials think that stuff is corny. All the Christian clubs closed when millennials came around, because millennials are like, no, if I'm a millennial Christian, why don't I just take my light to the actual club? Instead of making a Christian movie, why don't I just make a regular movie that is infused with my faith? Talk to me about how you arrived at that and how that informs your creation and your art.
So what really inspired that is what I learned is that reading the Bible, and I'm gonna just be very honest, especially in today's world when we're so attached to our phones and everything, it's extremely boring. And it's nothing wrong. Like, the word is powerful, but go read Hezekiah, you're gonna fall asleep. Go read Habakkuk, you're gonna fall asleep. Go read 2 Chronicles. And then reading it, it's very hard to really comprehend for somebody that isn't born and raised in the church. It's no way I can go give a guy who's never really been in the church a Bible and he understands it. He won't. He could read the first book of Genesis and be like, what did I just read? After Genesis 1:1, it gets tricky. It gets very, very tricky. So you're not gonna go read Exodus, you're not gonna do that. But I do think that, and even in an age where a lot of people don't read and don't take the time, I said, okay, how can we, that's what Jesus, when Jesus came, he didn't stay at the church and say, well, they don't come here. If they don't come find me here, they're not going to get to me. No, he left from the church outside of the walls and went to where these people were. He went to the girl who was dead in the house, and he went to the man by the water with the withered hand, and he went to these places. And what I want to do is I want to go meet the person who will probably be as far away from God as possible and make him feel like there's somebody who loves him.
Ooh, that's good.
And that's what the whole Sinners Wanted thing was about, was to create this prostitute who was disgusted, left her, cheated on her husband, ran out on her kids, and this man still loved her. And I think that that's my calling, is to go make the Bible and God's love so clear that a 5-year-old can gravitate to it and understand. No matter how many times you do what your parents didn't tell you to do, guess what? They still love you.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me. And I said, how can I do that? I can take these stories. Let me go take the most odd, abstract stories from the Bible that people don't pay attention to and put a twist to them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what, and I haven't even scratched the surface with it yet. You know, I've been doing plays and movies, but this next movie I got, dog, I'm so excited to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been this particular about a script in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is the one.
Oh, gosh.
This next one right here is going to be the one that I know that takes it to the next level. And I'm making it solely for that guy that's right now sitting beside a dumpster getting high on heroin, that just got out of 25 years in prison, that don't know where he do, and probably done did the worst sins in the world. And by the time he finishes it, I want him to be like, he loves me.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it, bro. That's why I do it.
That's so good. Thank you for that work. Thank you for that. Is that all you can tell us about it?
I to be honest, like, I don't at this point, like, you can try to make the same movie if you want. You ain't gonna do it like me.
Right.
And you might be real good, but it's gonna be hard.
We're gonna keep it under wraps.
Okay.
You just follow Jimmy Jenkins online so that you make sure that you can catch whenever it does release. So you told us about that, but you're working on some other stuff. Tell us all the stuff that you got in the cooker right now.
So, man, we got the Alabama Football Project with Nick Saban, and the history of Alabama football. Really excited about that. That'll be done this summer, this fall, right before football season. Got a big project now with Canadian NBA players that are putting out these lottery picks like nobody's business, just kind of like PG similarly, but now it's a lot coming from Toronto. Okay. So a story similar to that.
They not us though.
They not us. No, not even close. They not close, but they putting out hoopers. I have this company I've been working on called Playwatch for children. It's about bringing content to minority children and really focusing on making sure that they have a plethora of content to look at and find. So that's like a big baby of mine. That's like my baby I've been growing for a while, and we're getting ready to come out this year, so really excited about that. And then I got my movie. It's called God With Us. And I just tell you the premise. Okay. I tell you the sentence. I ain't even told nobody. This is gonna be. I had to cut it out.
We breaking news.
But it's this world. It's in a world where the government, everybody says, listen, we want Jesus God out the Constitution. We want it off the back of the dollar, and we want it out of the Pledge of Allegiance. And you can still have your churches and all that, but it's just like kind of shunned because, you know, in God we trust, one nation under God. They want to remove all that. So the government, they vote, they remove all that, and the world just kind of turns their own way. But there's this prophet who can talk to God, and God talks to him. And so he begs God, please show your mercy just one more time. Just show the world how much you love him one more time. And God talks to him through a burning bush and tells him, I'm going to send my son to live in the earth one more time. And so he finds a virgin from the hood. And her boyfriend, Joe. And it's about,
Yo. This is a Everybody Hates Church exclusive. What's coming from Jimmy Jenkins.
We getting ready to film it.
Let's go.
We filming it this summer, man.
Man, we're excited to support you, man. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Let us know how we can reach you, social media, all that stuff. How can we find you?
Jimmy Jenkins 22, Instagram, Twitter. Check me out. And man, you doing your thing, bro. Man, I'm just honored to be a part of this, man. Y'all spread the word about this. This is just the beginning. This is gonna blow up, man. Man,
Jimmy was one of the first people that I reached out to when the Lord gave me this vision to want to do a podcast, and I know what quality he produces, and also know that he'll tell me what's real. And so he told me some things not to do to make sure that we pulled this off. So man, thank you for being one of the original vision keepers of Everybody Hates Church, and thank you for being a part of it on this particular episode. And man, thank you for taking the gospel to Hollywood. Thank you for bearing the name of Christ in spaces that are not church. And thank you for loving the church enough to represent us well where you are. And so, man, shout out to Jimmy Jenkins. Make sure that you give him a follow on social media and wherever you can find him. And thank you for being a part of Everybody Hates Church. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you click like, follow, and share. Share this with somebody that you know, somebody who loves movies, or somebody who loves TV, somebody who loves church, or maybe even somebody who hates church, because that's what we all about. Everybody hates church, and having these conversations in a safe space where we can really talk it out and find love for Jesus and his church. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram and TikTok at Everybody Hates Church. I'm Dr. Bobby Manning. You can find me everywhere at Dr. B Manning. I look forward to seeing you on social media, but I also look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Everybody Hates Church. See you next time.